Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Thursday, September 30th, 2021. Today we're going to recap yesterday's Major League Baseball games and look ahead to today's games. We'll look back at yesterday's Major League Soccer games. Wnba playoffs resume tonight. We'll pick the games. We'll pick tonight's Thursday night football game and college football. I'll do my NBA trade value rankings, go over the latest news and notes. We'll recap last night's episode of The Masked Singer, and we'll do my best bet of the day. All right, we'll start with baseball because it's coming down the stretch here with 4 days left of the regular season and playoff spots still up for grabs literally in both leagues at the moment. Rocks over the Nats 10-5, Cubs over the Pirates 3-2, Blue Jays over the Yanks 6-5, Red Sox over the O's 6-0, Marlins over the Mets 3-2, Braves over the Phils 7-2, Twins over the Tigers 5-2, Brewers over the Cardinals 4-0, Angels over the Rangers 7-2, White Sox over the Reds 6-1, Royals over the Indians 10-5, Rays over the Astros 7-0, so best bet, easy winner. Giants over the D-backs 1-0, Dodgers over the Padres 11-9. That was a wild game. Mariners over the A's 4-2, so the Mariners sweep the Athletics, which was pretty impressive. So Oakland's out of the chase for those AL wildcards. So it's between Yankees, Toronto, Seattle, and Boston. All right, now we look at today. 1:15, the Brewers and the Cardinals. Cardinals streak ended last night. This game, Brett Anderson and Jay Happ. Cardinals minus 116, Brewers minus 102, over under 9. Overs minus 112, unders minus 108. Brewers plus 1/2 is minus 192. Cardinals minus 1/2 is plus 158. I'm going to go under 9 minus 108 to do something different here. Angels Rangers at 2 o'clock. Alex Cobb and Glenn Otto. Angels minus 130, Rangers plus 110, over under 8. Overs minus 118, unders minus 104. Angels minus 1/2 is plus 130. Rangers plus 1/2 is minus 156. I'm going over 8 minus 118. 6:30, Cubs Pirates. Justin Steele, Miguel Yajure. Pirates minus 110, Cubs minus 106, over under 9. Overs minus 104, unders minus 118. Cubs minus 1/2 is plus 158. Pirates plus 1/2 is minus 192. I'm going to go in this game, believe it or not, with the Pirates on the money line, minus 110. Red Sox Orioles at 7 o'clock. Nick Pivetta and Alexander Wells. Boston minus 220, Orioles plus 184, over under 10. Overs minus 114, unders minus 106. Red Sox minus 1/2 is minus 146. O's plus 1/2 is plus 122. I think the Orioles are going to be competitive in this game. I really do. So I'm going to take the plus 115 at plus 122. Blue Jays hosting the Yankees. Corey Kluber and Robbie Ray. Blue Jays minus 142, Yankees plus 120, over under 8.5. Overs minus 114, unders minus 106. Yanks plus 1/2 is minus 172. Blue Jays minus 1/2 is plus 142. I'm going to go, tough one. I'm going to go over 8 minus 114. Don't feel super about it. Marlins Mets from Citi Field. Edward Cabrera, Rich Hill. Mets by 96. Marlins plus 164, over under 7.5, minus 110 each way. Mets plus 1/2 is minus 126. Mets minus 1/2 is plus 105. I'm going to go over 7.5 minus 110. Rays Astros. Colin McHugh, Lance McCullers Jr. Astros minus 148. Rays plus 126, over under 8.5. Overs minus 118, unders minus 104. Rays plus 1/2 is minus 154. Astros minus 1/2 is plus 128. I'm going to go with the Rays plus 126. I know the Astros are going for the division crown and whatnot. I actually take that back. I think it's a potential letdown for Tampa. I'm going to go with the under instead. Changing picks on the podcast on the fly here. 7:20, the Phillies at the Braves. Braves can clinch the division today with the win. Kyle Gibson, Ian Anderson. Braves minus 156, Phillies plus 132, over under 8.5. Overs minus 108, unders minus 112. Phillies plus 1.5 is minus 156. Braves minus 1.5 is plus 130. I'm going to go with over 8.5 at minus 108. 7:30, Tigers Twins. Tariq Skubal and Joe Ryan. Twins minus 200. Tigers plus 168, over under 8.5, minus 110 each way. Tigers plus 1.5 is minus 135. Twins minus 1.5 is plus 104. I'm going to go with the under, believe it or not. Tariq Skubal was pretty good earlier in the year. He just fell apart. I think it's an under game. Indians Royals at 8 o'clock. Shane Bieber and Angel Zerpa. Indians minus 162, Royals plus 136, over under 8.5, minus 110 each way. Indians minus 1.5 is plus 105, Royals plus 1.5 is minus 136. I'm going Indians run line minus 1.5 at plus 105. 9:45, D-backs Giants. Madison Bumgarner and Scott Kazmir. Giants minus 190, D-backs plus 160, over under 8.5. Overs minus 114, unders minus 106. D-backs plus 1.5 is minus 134. Giants minus 1.5 is plus 112. Madison Bumgarner back in San Francisco. The Giants' magic number is 3 with that Dodger comeback. I think they'll keep going. I'm going to say over 8.5, minus 114. Last but not least, the Padres and the Dodgers. Vince Velasquez and Tony Gonsolin. Dodgers minus 230, Pods plus 190, over under 9. Overs minus 114, unders minus 106. Padres minus 1.5 is minus 105. Dodgers minus 1.5 is minus 114. I'm going to go over 9 at minus 114 as my pick for this game. All right, now we'll move on to Major League Soccer, as I will go over the results from last night. Atlanta over Miami 1-0. Toronto over Cincinnati 3-2. New England over Club Football Montreal 4-1. DC United over Minnesota 3-1. Red Bulls and Philly 1-1 draw. Chicago over NYCFC 2-0. KC over Dallas 3-1. Nashville and Orlando 2-2 draw. Colorado over Austin 3-0. Houston Vancouver 0-0 draw. Salt Lake over LA Galaxy 2-1. Portland over LAFC 2-1. Seattle over San Jose 3-1. And those are your results for Major League Soccer. There will be games on Saturday and Sunday, and we'll preview and pick them on the podcast tomorrow. All right, WNBA playoffs. We have 2 games, both game 2s, semifinals. First up, you got the Sky and the Sun, 8 o'clock, ESPN 2. Connecticut's favored by 7.5. I would make it 8.5. And I believe FanDuel has odds. Yes, they do. I'm going to go with the over. I'm surprised that these teams have been scoring a lot in these playoffs. So I'm going to go over 155.5 at minus 106. And then the Mercury and the Aces game 2. Actually, I know I'd make this actually 7.5. And then the Mercury and the Aces, I make this 4.5. Vegas is favored by 6.5. So I would take Mercury plus the 6.5. I don't know if they'll win, but I think they'll cover the plus 6.5 in this game. And then the game 3s will be Sunday. Game 4s, if necessary, Wednesday. Game 5s, if necessary, next Friday, the 8th. All right, now we'll move on to Thursday Night Football. We have Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars against Joe Burrow and the Bengals. In this game, the Bengals are giving 7.5 points tonight at home. And the total is 46.5. Meanwhile, my projections say Bengals 9, total 44-35. I'm taking the under. I have an edge on the under. A little over 2 points. The case is that the Bengal defense hasn't been a complete disaster this year. And what has been a complete disaster at times this year has been the Jaguars' offense. Trevor Lawrence is looking like a rookie. All the rookies have looked like rookies. Joe Burrow really has that, it factor to him. But I don't think he's completely back yet, per se. So, the pick for tonight's game for the podcast is under 46.5. And I also have a little bit of an edge on the Cincinnati Bengals. So if I had to predict the final score, I'm going to say it's kind of low scoring-ish. I could see it being 24-16 Bengals. I think that's a little bit too low of a score. 28-20 won't work. 27-17 works. 26-20 barely works. That would mean Jacksonville covers. 24-16, I think, is somewhat reasonable. 24-17, I think, makes the most sense. So, let's go there. 24-17 or 24-16. 24-16, Bengals win. So, that's your Thursday night play. And now we will do college football. And tonight's game's an ACC matchup between Virginia and Miami. And I project Miami as a 7-point favorite in a total of 61-35. Meanwhile, it is 4.5 and 61.5. Last night, the game was 6.5. So, the total is, I can't touch it. The slightest of slightest edges on the under, but I'm going to lay the 4.5 with the Hurricanes against Virginia. I think that the Canes bounce back a little bit after a couple rough games. It's a conference game. Miami still has a chance at the ACC championship, depending on how they do in conference play, which begins tonight. So I'm going to lay the 4.5 with Miami. I think their offense will take advantage of how porous Virginia's defense has been this year. So I'm going to lay the 4.5 with Miami over the Virginia Cavaliers in this spot. Now I'm going to do my NBA trade value rankings. This is actually the easiest of the 4 trade value lists to put together. There's a couple honorable mentions on this list. Mostly role players, some stars on here that have low trade value. So 12 honorable mentions. Andrew Wiggins, TJ Warren, Victor Oladipo, Yusuf Nurkic, Lauri Markkanen, Gary Harris, Kristaps Porzingis, Draymond Green, Harrison Barnes, Evan Fournier, Tobias Harris, Seth Curry. And now, without further ado, the top 100 most tradable assets in the NBA. And again, this is not player rankings. This is rankings solely based on trade value, because there's players on this list that are clearly better than somebody that's ranked beneath them in these rankings. It's because that maybe that player's a veteran and has lower trade value. All right. First 2 on this list are wing role players on good teams. 100 Joe Ingles, 99 Robert Covington. The next couple are young players that are on either rebuilding teams or up-and-coming teams in the league. There's a lot coming up in this next portion of the list. Like about 17 players in this next group. 98 Isaac Okoro, 97 Obi Toppin, 96 Sadiq Bey, 95 Killian Hayes, 94 Denny Avdija, 93 Alexej Pokasevi, 92 PJ Washington, 91 Rui Hachimura, 90 Keldon Johnson, 89 Tyler Herro, 88 Emmanuel Quickley, 87 Dante DiVincenzo, 86 Chris Boucher, 85 Mitchell Robinson, 84 Markelle Fultz, 83 Kevin Porter Jr., 82 Marvin Bagley, 81 James Weissman. This next player has been traded from its original team. Is a young guy, but I think has earned the grow as a player, and that's Jared Allen at number 80. The guy at 79 about to discuss is recovering from a major injury. I should have put him and Markelle Fultz together, but I think this guy just has more upside to him a little bit, and that's Jonathan Isaac from a defensive standpoint. I think it's bizarre that I put him there. It's because Fultz has always been hurt, and then Isaac's coming off a freak injury. 78, I have Wendell Carter Jr. Numbers. 77 to about maybe 67 are a lot of above average players. Some of them are on bad teams. Some of them are on good teams. 77 is Aaron Gordon. 77 is Marcus Smart, or 76. 75 is Miles Turner. 74 Jeremy Grant. 73 Karis LeVert. 72 DeJounte Murray. 71 Norman Powell. 70 Jonas Valanciunas. 69 Bojan Bogdanovic. 68 Bogdan Bogdanovic. 67 Clint Capella. 66 Mike Conley. The next 2 are players. One of them's on a team that really isn't contending for anything, and then the other's on a up-and-coming team. And those guys are 65 Derek White and 64 John Collins. 63 on the list is someone that's good stats, bad team guy to me, and that's Christian Wood. 62 is somebody that just got massively paid, and they're banking on potential here, and that's Michael Porter Jr. 61 and 60, so the next 2 players are very awesome players. One of them's on a potential contender, the other's on a team that is trying to win now. That's Kyle Lowry, 61, and 60 is Nikola Vucevic. The next group of guys is all young players. That is numbers 59 through 48. All young building block players that have room to grow. 59, Patrick Williams. 58, Miles Bridges. 57, Darius Garland. 56, Dylan Brooks. 55, Duncan Robinson. 54, Gary Trent Jr. 53, Colin Sexton. 52, Jaren Jackson Jr. 51, O.J. Wnba. 50, Mikal Bridges. 49, DeAndre Hunter. 48, R.J. Barrett. 47 is somebody that I think is one of the more interesting players in the NBA. A lot of potential, puts up good stats, and that is Malcolm Brogdon. 46 on the list, I think, is the most interesting player in the NBA right now, but it's not for the right reasons, and that's Ben Simmons. I think Philly's trying to make the best deal they can and try to win the trade, and that's why he hasn't been traded yet. But I think that somebody will talk themselves into this, like Sacramento or somebody like that, Minnesota, one of these teams. The next three players are all point guards that are highly paid. 45, Lonzo Ball. 44, Drew Holiday. 43, Kyrie Irving. The next two players on this list are players that are on big market teams and are coming off career years that I think are pretty tough to replicate. And that's 42, Zach LaVine, and 41, Julius Randle. Next three guys on this list are all above average starting players, just like the other two guys I listed. Still sort of young. 40, Buddy Hield. 39, Pascal Siakam. 38, Chris Middleton. The next three players are all players that are trending upwards in the league. 37, Brandon Ingram. 36, Jaylen Brown. 35, Jamal Murray. Obviously, Murray's too slow because he's coming off the injury. Another guy coming off an injury at 34, and that's Klay Thompson. 33 is somebody who's been traded a ton over the last couple of years, and that's Russell Westbrook. Numbers 32 and 31 are both very young players in the NBA coming off a phenomenal rookie season, so that's Tyrese Halliburton at 32 and Anthony Edwards at 31. Numbers 30 and 29 are second fiddle Western Conference players, and that's CJ McCollum and Rudy Gobert. Numbers 28 through 26 are awesome point guards, all for teams that are not very good. Well, one of them has a chance to be good in terms of their teams. That's Fred VanVleet of the Raptors at 28. 27, De'Aaron Fox. 26, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. All good players, but VanVleet is the only player of that threesome that I think has a shot to make some noise. Numbers 25 through 22 are all big men that are just awesome. 25, Karl Anthony Towns. 24, Bam Adebayo. 23, Domantas Sabonis. And 22, DeAndre Ayton. Number 21 is Donovan Mitchell. 20 is Jimmy Butler. Now I'm just going to go through the rest of the list. Number by number at this point, because we're at the crunch time here. 19 is Kawhi Leonard. He's the slow because of the injury. 18 is Chris Paul. 17 is LeBron James. 16 Kevin Durant. 15 Stephen Curry. 14 Anthony Davis. 13 Paul George. 12 Devin Booker. 11 Damian Lillard. 10 LaMelo Ball. 9 Ja Morant. 8 Trae Young. 7 Bradley Beal. 6 Jason Tatum. 5 Nikola Jokic. 4 Joel Embiid. 3 Zion Williamson. 2 Luka Doncic. And number 1, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Milwaukee Bucks. I mean, that was, I think, the obvious pick for number 1 because it's Giannis. Doncic is just incredible. Zion. Embiid is the best big man in the NBA, if you ask me. So, an interesting finish to the list for sure. All debatable, but that's just my opinion. All right, now I'm going to do news and notes for the day. A lot of stuff to get into. So the first one is that the NHL teams mull dress code changes as players want more freedom, but the Coyotes are the only team to relax league suit mandate for players, according to an ESPN survey. Actually, it's not as much stuff in these notes as I thought. Salvador Perez exits the game with the right ankle sprain, as he is the MLB home run leader at the time being, so we'll see how that finishes off. And hopefully Perez is okay. A big blow to the Milwaukee Brewers as setup man Devin Williams likely to miss the postseason after breaking his hand following team's NL Central celebration. That really sucks. Like, Devin Williams is awesome. He was the Rookie of the Year last year. Now he's dominating as a setup man for Josh Hader. And he's someone I forgot to mention in honorable mentions yesterday when I did trade value. Nolan Arenado says he won't opt out. I'm absolutely coming back. Cardinals star confirms that he will not use the opt-out this year. They need him back. Shohei Ohtani done pitching this year, as he's just going to be hitting the last 4 games. There's some speculation that he was going to pitch that last game against the Mariners, as the Mariners are trying to get into the postseason. But nope. So the Mariners catch a break there. Charlie McCoy positive for PEDs and will miss 6 games when he returns from his injury. That's unfortunate. Big injury for the Jets. Marcus May out a few weeks with an ankle injury. Their best defensive player out for a month, which really sucks for New York. James White out for the season due to a hip injury. That's brutal for the Patriots as they lose a pass catcher out of the backfield. The NBA has a new out-of-bounds rule, so a coach's challenge will now be the only method to review out-of-bounds calls with under 2 minutes left in games. The NBA's rule on unvaxxed players says players who don't comply with local vaccination mandates will not be paid for games they miss. That's the right call. Unless if there's some health condition, then that's a different story. But a lot of these cities are requiring it for their big arenas like New York and San Francisco. James Harden not focused on contract, as Harden says it will be very difficult to leave KD and Kyrie, but focusing on title pursuit. Russell Westbrook said, hell no to the Clippers, as Tommy Shepard says that Russ would have returned to Washington if the Lakers were unavailable. So that's interesting. The Giants head coach Joe Judge rips analytics. He goes, if Excel was going to win football games, Bill Gates would be killing it. Jeez. And I don't mind that quote for Joe Judge, to be honest, because analytics don't win football games. Sure, a lot of teams invest in it, but it comes back to haunt you, and that's just not in football. It's in all sports. It comes back to bite you. the Giants signed Isaiah Wilson to their practice squad. They're just building up line depth at this point because their line's just so bad. Even though their first-round pick from 2020, Andrew Thomas, has actually shown some improvement in year 2. And the last one, women's college basketball to use March Madness name as the women's tournament will officially use the term March Madness branding for the first time next year. So that's pretty cool. And I'm glad to see that the women are finally getting involved in the March Madness instead of just the NCAA women's tournament. So that's pretty neat to see. All right, now we will recap last night's episode of The Masked Singer. Group B was introduced to us. First up was the Queen of Hearts. There's a lot of Wizard of Oz type of clues. There's a household. There's a grandfather clock, a ruby, a castle, which gave some people Disney vibes. And this person performed Born This Way by Lady Gaga. I have a guess for this, and I think this is none other than Christina Aguilera. I thought this was another singer from her genre in the beginning, but as she sang, I heard that really good falsetto that she has that made me believe of this guest. The Disney clues make a lot of sense as well. Nicole Scherzinger said Britney Spears. Jenny McCarthy threw out some country singers, but she ultimately went with Fergie, which isn't bad. And Ken Jeong went with Renee Zellweger, which I didn't really like that guess that much. I think that Nicole and Jenny had some decent guesses there. Then came the Mallard. There's a wagon, platinum album, a ticket cage, a cowboy boot, a quarter, a trombone, deer. There's a BFF picture of Chris Brad. And this person performed Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy by Big and Rich. This had a lot of people thinking country singer. I'm very interested in the Mallard. I think that he has more to him. I would love to see Mallard sing a ballad. I really would. Robin Thicke threw out Alan Jackson and Garth Brooks, and Ken Jeong said Billy Ray Cyrus. Cupcake. There's a jukebox. There's a diner, coffee, whiskey. There's a note that said, "Go get him, girl." And there are heart pancakes. And this person performed Heart Wave by I forgot who sings the song. It's an old song. I think she sang the one by I think she said you think the song was called Heart Wave. Jenny McCarthy said Tracy Chapman and RuPaul. Robin Thicke said Jennifer Holliday and RuPaul. Nicole Scherzinger said Roberta Flack and Leslie Jones. And Ken Jeong went with Tina Turner. The Dalmatian. There's a helmet, there's weights, a whistle. There's a screen picture plate. A top dog trophy. Hints about an underdog, red and yellow balls, a yellow frisbee. And this person performed Beautiful by Snoop Dogg. Robin Thicke went with Nelly. Jenny McCarthy said a couple names. Kevin Hart, Damian Lillard, and Cat Williams. Ken Jung said Reggie Bush. And last was Banana Split, who I thought was the best performance of an evening. It was a duo. The male was a banana playing the piano, and the women was the Split singing the song. There's an amusement park, a small town hinting at. They hint about there's like a medal in there. And then they talk about a collaborator in there as well. And this duo performed A Million Dreams by Pink with the man on the piano, the banana, and then the Split singing. And then they hint that they don't work together all the time, but when they work together, it's successful. Jenny McCarthy said Catherine McPhee and David Foster. Robin Thicke said Faith Hill and Keith McGraw. And Nicole Scherzinger said Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling. And who went home? The Dalmatian. My first impression guess and final guess was Patrick Mahomes because I noticed red and yellow. And that had me thinking USC at first. And I realized that the Chiefs are red and yellow. And I thought about Patrick Mahomes. And there was a lot of football clues. Robin Thicke's first and final was Nelly. Nicole's first impression was one of the Lils. And Nicole went with Nelly as her final guess. Jenny's first impression guess was Steve Harvey. Her final guess was Kevin Hart. Ken Jung's first impression guess was Reggie Bush. And his final guess was Reggie Bush, which I thought wasn't a bad guess. And who was it? Tyga, the rapper. So that was a surprise reveal in terms of who it was. So, cool for Tyga to be on the show. And I thought Dalmatian deserved to go home. Queen of Hearts was great. Banana Split was unbelievable. Cupcake's a legend, potentially. And I'm very interested to see who Mallard is. And I think next week we have this group again. And I believe we will see another wild card contestant, if I'm not mistaken. All right, last but not least, my best bet of the day, brought to you by FanDuel. I think this is a hard call in terms of potential best bets. But because baseball games are so meaningful right now, I have no choice but to go to baseball. And the one I like the most in terms of a play, I'm actually going to go where I went yesterday, and that is the same game and the same play except a different number, and that is under 8.5 between the Rays and the Astros, and that's going to be my best bet of the day. Alrighty, that's it for today's show. Big podcast tomorrow. A big podcast tomorrow. Friday's show. All the picks for college football and the NFL for the weekend, including the Fab Five in each of those sports as well. We'll preview and predict the final weekend of Major League Baseball in the regular season. I'll make picks for all the series and pick who's going to end up in the AL wildcards spots. WNBA playoffs, Major League Soccer, news and notes, and best bet too. Hope you guys have a great day, everybody.